In my personal opinion, Dragon Ball Super sucks. It's abysmal dog shit. Dragon Ball Super, the long-awaited continuation of Akira Toriyama's legendary Dragon Ball saga, was meant to rekindle the magic of Dragon Ball Z for a new generation. Unfortunately, many longtime fans, I myself included, think it failed to live up to its predecessor's legacy. While it certainly has moments of excitement and spectacle, Dragon Ball Super often collapses under the weight of lazy storytelling, inconsistent animation, shallow character development, and character regression, all for the misguided approach of fan service. Rather than revitalizing the franchise, it frequently undermines what made Dragon Ball great in the first place. One of the biggest problems with Dragon Ball Super is its inconsistent and often careless storytelling. I mean, the series begins by retelling two previously released movies, Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F, in stretched out lower quality form. This immediately makes the show feel redundant and uninspired. Instead of starting with new material, it rehashes stories that fans have already seen in better animation and pacing. As the series continues, the tone and quality fluctuate wildly from arc to arc. Power levels, once treated as meaningful indicators of strength, become meaningless plot devices that shift according to convenience. Characters who were once awe-inspiring like Goku and Vegeta now gain new transformations almost every other arc, each one less significant than the last. This over-reliance on constant power escalation turns once epic battles into predictable spectacles with no emotional weight. Another glaring issue is obviously the piss-poor quality animation. Like, this looks like Toei Animation kidnapped 5 Cambodian kids and forced them to draw for their families' lives. And Toei does eventually improve its production values during the Tournament of Power arc. The early episodes were notoriously bad. Fans still mocked poorly drawn fight scenes and off-model characters that plague the Battle of Gods arc. For a flagship anime like Dragon Ball, with one of the most recognizable names in the world, this level of inconsistency was embarrassing. Even when the visuals improved, they often leaned too heavily on flashy effects and color changes to mask the lack of creative choreography. The fights of Dragon Ball Z were memorable not only for their intensity, but for their emotional stakes as well. But most importantly, they were important because of their strategic tension, something that Super just doesn't really have. Character development, another cornerstone of the original series, is largely absent. Goku, instead of evolving as a warrior or a father, regresses into an almost childish caricature, obsessed solely with fighting strong opponents. Vegeta shows some glimpses of growth, especially as a family man, but even that is frequently undercut by the writer's insistence on resetting him to his angry rival persona whenever convenient. Secondary characters like Gohan and Piccolo and Krillin, just don't even fucking worry about them because they are never important, even in the Tournament of Power arc. It's even sad to say that when you think that Gohan was meant to take over the legacy as main character in the Dragon Ball franchise, it just kinda hurts to see him like reduced to a comic relief or a mere spectator. Now, I will say the inclusion of the multiverse fighters and gods of destruction could have expanded the series' depth, but instead it adds clutter. With so many new characters introduced so quickly, most receive no meaningful backstory or development, existing only to fill the roster of tournament participants. The tone of Dragon Ball Super also suffers from an identity crisis. It tries to blend humor and lightheartedness of the original Dragon Ball with the seriousness, high-stake action of Dragon Ball Z, but rarely succeeds with either. The comedy often feels forced or juvenile, undermining the dramatic moments. Villains like Zamasu, and by extension Goku Black, had potential for philosophical and emotional depth, yet their arcs collapsed into confusing timelines and Deus Ex Machina endings. The series' dependence on gag characters such as Beerus and Whis further erodes tension. When godlike beings can erase universes with a flick of their cock, it's hard to feel that anything truly matters. Ultimately, Dragon Ball Super feels more like a corporate product than a genuine creative continuation. It thrives on nostalgia, merchandising, and hype rather than selling stories or emotional engagement. While it has its defenders, brain-dead troglodytes, the series often feels hollow, repetitive, and creatively bankrupt compared to its predecessors. In trying to please everyone, Dragon Ball Super loses the focus, intensity, and heart that made Dragon Ball Z timeless and amazing. In the end, Dragon Ball Super doesn't so much expand the world of Dragon Ball as it dilutes it entirely, offering power-ups without purpose, battles without stakes, and nostalgia without soul. I will still be here. I have been Brand the Man, and I hope to see you as soon as I can.